Hello, I'm Gerard Corr and I'm running for VP Events and Student Affairs.
Hello everyone, my name is Jyotnoor Kanwar, or you might commonly know me as Jay or Jyot. I'm going to be running for VP Student Life, or technical term is Vice President Student Events and Affairs.
Hi, my name is Jess Dela Cruz. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm running to be your next candidate for VP Events and Student Affairs.
So I want to run for this position because I'm eager to get more involved in the SFU community, and I really want to work with the broad variety of clubs that exist at SFU and help give back to the university community and the student body. So I have a lot of experiences that will help prepare me for this role. I was in cadets for 6 years, and that really helped me to develop my leadership and teamwork skills, as well as discipline and focus. So those will help me fulfill that executive position with the SFSS. I also played the bagpipes for 8 years now, and that's a skill that has taken hours and hours of practice, as well as the teamwork aspect. I've played with bands on the civilian side, White Spot Pipe Band and the Grayling Crossing Pipe Band, and so that in and of itself has just been a whole new type of teamwork that I've had to learn. So I'm familiar with many different types of teamwork and adapting to new situations with new types of people. I also have a lot of volunteer experience. In high school, I volunteered with a Book Buddies program. I tutored inner city kids with their reading skills. I also worked with a design studio program. That's what the program was called, and we taught STEM workshops to kids in the school district. I was also the president of my high school's green team, and we ran green initiatives that the whole high school took part of, such as battery drives and energy-saving marathons. So I'm no stranger to planning events, planning initiatives, planning programs, and working with people and clubs to get those things done. I also studied at McGill University for a semester before I started at SFU this year. During that time, I was the first-year representative for Medical Perspectives, a student-run club that ran events for people interested in working in medicine or in the health field. So part of my responsibilities were advertising events, getting students engaged, and just fostering student engagement. So I have experience working with student clubs to foster student engagement and get the student body involved in activities on campus.
The reason why I want to run for this position is because I'm a student myself, right? And I feel like when you're in university, the most important part of your student life comes not from within the classroom, but what's outside the classroom. So I want to make SFU a place where people can find their home outside of their home. And through events and whatever the students are involved in, that provides them with the chance to, just fully express themselves and indulge in what they like. I am a host for Let's Talk at SFU, which is kind of like a talk show where I talk with different students of different backgrounds and I help them be more confident within themselves. I am an EAL peer with the Student Learning Commons. So I work with international students and the challenges that they're facing here in Canada for being like a new student or learning to adjust within the community. When I was in school, like in person, in like last year, in like fall and the early spring, I worked as a fire pit s'more, or the actual term would be supreme marshmallow roasting educator at the fire pits, which you can find in front of the library. So I would talk to students and I would learn about their experiences and what they want and what they're expecting out of the student life. And I learned that pretty much whatever they wanted was the same as what I wanted, which is to go to events, to build a connection with our community, so the SFU community, and just learn about other people. Other than that, I have planned multiple events within like my school, my high school, even where I live, like my residential properties, and also I volunteer all over SFU, so there's a very high chance that you've seen me somewhere around the campus.
So I want to run for this position because I want to make student power stronger, and you've been hearing that for the past 2 weeks while my team and I, the SFU Progressives, have been campaigning so hard to make this fact known to everyone, to all students of SFSS. As your VP ESA, I want to make sure that the student volunteers and their work is credited for, that they are acknowledged, and that I help give the resources, the toolkits, and the encouragement so that these students can make sure that their work and their events are done in an equitable framework that is anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and anti-discriminatory. And that will be a lot on my part, working with other members of the board, but also making sure that I work with the local community to make sure that this happens. For VP Events and Student Affairs, I want to listen to students, work with them, have them listen to me, and I want to listen to them. This is not just a popularity contest. It's about working together to make sure that everyone is included in these decision-making policies, and that the work that we do is representative of the student body and is powerful. And it empowers our students, and to do so in a proactive and engaging way. So there's a lot to do as VP ESA, but those are just some reasons why I want to run for VP ESA. So in the past, I'm currently actually at SFSS University Academic and Affairs at-large member. I've been the FAST Engagement Programming Assistant for the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, where I oversaw and led student unions and DS youth and clubs. I've also been a FAST mentee, FAST mentor, and Welcome Day leader, a gender, sexuality, and women's studies student union executive, TEDx SFU events coordinator, campus tour guide, friends assignment tutor, news writer for The Peak, and so many others. I'm helping events, and I've also planned events such as Welcome Day for spring, summer, and fall 2020, Fast Fest, Fast on a Boat, Clubs Days, Next Steps, and Get Involved Days. So there's just so many events that I've also been a part of.
My main objective here is to make sure that everyone gets a chance to connect and feel comfortable during this time. And my plan is to just host events and make sure about the mental health and other things that students are facing this term. So I plan to host multiple events online, on Zoom. And then they can be carried forward after school reopens in person when it's safe to meet again. And all the programs that are hosted by the SFSS or by the clubs that are being looked over by the SFSS, I will ensure that they follow the proper COVID-19 guidelines set by BC Health. And I will ensure that just the safety of every student is taken care of. That's my priority. So the only changes I will bring is mostly just bringing things like more attention towards mental health and towards more inclusivity for people, so people feel more included. And the fact that, you know how sometimes people just don't get the time or they don't have the finances available to attend an event because the tickets are too expensive, or just because their work schedule doesn't work out. So my aim during this year would be to make sure that something like that isn't a problem for people to connect.
Is to make sure that our events are equitable and that we have equitable event policies for both remote and in-person events. So for example, it's such as not inviting the police to your events because this can be triggering or harmful to students. Another one would be advising students to bring in speakers that are representational of the students, so who come from a variety of different backgrounds that are diverse, issues policies that make the events accessible, and already continuing the work of the current board as well. Another one would be to have open governance and proactively consulting with the council. So whether that be through transparency and consultation, and doing so actively. Another one would be to make sure that the work we do is representational. So for example, on the council, we would have seats that are filled by constituency groups and affiliated groups such as SFU Athletics, Women's Center, SFPIRG, and while some of those seats are already taken by such students, we want to make sure that those seats are always going to be filled because those voices and those student unions need someone to represent them. And I want to make sure that for future ones, whether we are in remote setting or in person, that there is a lot of collaboration with everyone involved, from students, staff, and faculty members, And working with so many student groups and people I've worked with, incoming students, mature students, students halfway through their degree, alumni and staff and faculty, that they're able to have a say in the process of the decision making, that they are able to be trained in work that will be inclusive, to make sure that SFSS is not only just us seven. It is everyone who are taking part in this work.
So for the remainder of the pandemic period, I want to focus on online events so that students stay safe but are still getting chances to improve themselves, socialize, and be involved, right? My priority is student well-being. So in terms of online events, that would mean meditation workshops. I also want to make sure that certification for mental health first aid is available, because I think that is something that would be really useful for students to those are tangible skills that will help them in their own lives, as well as their friends if anybody they know is in crisis. I also want to hold just general, fun, casual, social networking events that will be hosted online through SFSS to help students socialize and get to know new people safely during the pandemic period. I think that's especially important for freshmen who just haven't had the opportunity to do that the same way this year because of COVID.
So for this question, or for this role, I'll be working with a VP Finance, VP Internal, and VP External. So I will be working with my colleagues, Matt, Corbett, and Almas, if they hopefully get elected. And what we will do, so actually there has been a lot of work done by the current board who helped increase the core funding for students so that they don't have to always apply for grants. And the application process for grants takes a really long time. You have to pitch the idea and get it approved and then get the money. Sometimes events, they're not always planned months ahead. Sometimes they're planned with only 2 weeks to spare because of time crunch, and that's not accessible. So if we're able to continue the work and to make sure that there is increased budget for the core funding, which VP Finance wants to do, then we'll also do that as well. Another one would be to work with VP Finance, and another is to encourage students to let us pay for what they need ahead of time. So that way they don't have to pay out of pocket and fill in a reimbursement form and then wait for the check to come in, because that takes a really long time to do. Another thing that I know that our team wants to do, especially VP Internal Corbett, he wants to modernize SFSS. So that's something I could work with him on. Another thing that I want to do is to encourage students to actually use the money that they have in their core funding. A lot of the core funding money right now is not being used because we've been remote, so there's no need to buy really food for guests or anything like that. But to come up with creative ways so that students are encouraged to spend that money, whether it be through tech, through equipment that they need, like technology equipment, or giveaways and gift cards that they want to give to their guests as well.
So regarding budget increase requests, I would just ask the student clubs why they want to have those funds, what those funds would go towards, how the projects that they're undertaking that those funds will be used for, how that will help the SFU student body, how that'll help the community, or help the greater BC community overall. So I am planning to have an application form that'll just kind of address those concerns. So again, the focus for budget increases would just be on how it will help the student body, the SFU community, and perhaps the greater BC community overall.
I understand that student clubs, they all have changes going on. Like some of them, they might want to add in events, or they want to just modify their events in the past. So if a student club requests for a budget increase, I would like a proper report of why they need the budget increase, what is their estimated increase, and if an event such as the one that they expect has happened in the past, then what was the total cost, so I can just take down margins. Then I would look at the sponsors, if we have any, or if they have any, and then we'll try to come to a negotiation on the funding that can be provided, because it is quite obvious that not all the funding can be provided. A little bit of compromises might have to be made on both ends. So, but my priority would be to make sure that if a budget increase is required and it's acceptable, like it makes sense that why it is being asked for, then I would look for any option that can provide for them, because I'm here to make this experience comfortable for everyone. Like that is my main goal.
Yes, so I support the tuition freeze just because, again, I said my priority is student well-being, and I think that plays into that. The uncertainty regarding potential tuition hikes just isn't fair to students, especially when many are struggling to make ends meet as is. Tuition has increased over the years, and I think we need to have a freeze just to make sure that the price can't be hiked on students with no warning.
I support the tuition freeze, and I would constantly advocate towards not increasing tuition for our fellow students, because as a student myself, I understand that a hike in tuition can really impact your lifestyle.
As you know, and as everyone knows, the quality of education has gone down in the past year, and has gone down so significantly. The motivation of students are not the same. The mental health has been poorer. The motivation to finish school has been extremely difficult. All online, I see students saying and finding solidarity in people who are struggling through remote learning, who are going through Zoom burnout every single day, and I go through Zoom marathons of online classes and work. Even work is difficult to get. Students can't access work because of the job market. It's been terrible because of COVID-19. Let alone having them to pay for their own education is difficult because they can't get that job. This also increases debt because they're now turning to student loans to help pay for their school. The experience is not the same, so why would we be paying for more? Why would we be paying for an increased tuition to attend Zoom University is what it is. It is not the same. The engagement is low, the motivation is low, and the passion is not there. And it breaks my heart to see students just saying, I really hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's been difficult, it's been hard. And it's not the same. We have to pay attention of international students as well, who are paying way more for their education, who are not receiving the same amount, who are in different places of the world to attend classes. Tuition freeze needs to happen because regardless of we're in pandemic or not, students need to be accounted for in these decision-making policies so that education is accessible for everyone.
I feel like SFE is a very inclusive school. I have seen a lot of diversity in there. Like I said, I work in Let's Talk and the Student Learning Commons, so I meet people with all different backgrounds, and I have heard very nice stories about SFU and how they feel really comfortable and how they feel that SFU is a very welcoming place. For some people, they just say it's a home away from home, which makes me feel really good. So SFU is doing a really good job. But I feel like we can make it go a step ahead. My main plans are, our school has a lot of clubs, and a lot of clubs represent people with different ethnicities and different cultural backgrounds. However, they all do this separately. So what I plan, if I am VP events, then is to create an event or create events where the SFSS overlooks and hosts these events in collaboration with these clubs, and these clubs get more support and more advertising so that people from cultures other than the culture being presented can also partake in these. This way we would have our school to be more inclusive, and instances of ignorance that happen that cause racism that is not considered racism, these things will be taken care of, or at least taken to an all-time low. I'm aware that there have been instances of racism, But if we all work together and we work towards understanding our fellow students and understanding their ethical, ethnic, cultural backgrounds, damn it's for English, and all that, that way we can make the school a better place.
SFU's equity, diversity, and inclusion policies are doing less than the bare minimum, if that is even a thing. And what it's missing is student services and student education. All I've seen on their website and what they've been doing so far is surveys and data collection. What I don't see is implemented action. And that's what I'm disappointed on. I need to see these things happen, and it's not happening. The things that has happened, though, happen because of student pressure and student involvement. The resources in the toolkits, while it is good that faculty members and staff members have this, it's missing resources for students. And in what ways can students, through their education and through the clubs and student unions that they work with, in what ways could they also make sure that their work is equitable, is inclusive, and it needs to be better. And so hopefully as VPESA, I am able to work with VPES, so equity and sustainability, to pressure SFU staff members and faculty members on their policies of equity, diversity, and inclusion to make it better, to make sure that we have the resources and toolkits that this happens, because it's not sufficient enough. The BIPOC committee has done incredible work so far in doing this, but it needs to also continue. And a lot of the work has been spearheaded by my colleague Marie, who has done an incredible job. Again, she's one of the people running. The change we see really happens from students first. So student involvement is really what matters, and it's what needed, because SFU is disappointing in their equity work. We don't need any more data collection. We need to see change.
I think SFU needs to do better. There was an event earlier this year where a Black alumnus was on campus, and police were called, and it was just it was a horrible event. So I think events like those speak more loudly than any kind of nicety spoken by SFU administration. So I think we need to do better. So I heard that the other day the SFU Black Caucus met with Vice Chancellor Joy Johnson, and I heard that although some good commitments and good promises were made, there's still more action needed. So I think that's exactly the improvement that's needed. It's just more action regarding equity, regarding diversity, regarding acceptance, to promote student safety for everybody.
Student voices matter. A university won't run without us, right? And they need to listen to us and to hear us. And that is our whole motivation, is to bring back student power, is what the previous board did, and for us to make it stronger. And we need to make sure that these spaces are safe enough for students to come forward, to tell their stories and to share their experiences of how they can't pay for their tuition, of how it's been so incredibly hard to do so. And I believe that this year's board, especially if all of the seats taken is by my team, by the SFU Progressives, we will fight for you. We really want to make sure that students' voices and concerns are heard, especially if they're coming from marginalized communities, whether it be low income or BIPOC people. And I just want to make sure that student volunteers are appreciated, they're heard, and they're listened to, and that we are able to help reduce the barriers that make it difficult for that to happen. I'm excited to work with SFU Progressives in doing so, to make sure that you are able to be included in the work that we do, and that you are represented well by your board, if hopefully all of us win. So thank you.
One other thing regarding my platform, if I'm elected, I would hold an office hours every week, so that if anybody wanted to communicate face-to-face with me, they would have the opportunity to do so. So that would be available for everyone. I would also be holding separate bi-weekly Zoom meetings for student and club leadership. So any club leaderships that wanted to would be able to communicate with me about events, and I think that would just help, since one of the responsibilities for this position would be as a liaison between student clubs and organizations and the SFSS. I think that would just help streamline communication, not only between me, but between other clubs as well.
Thoughts are, well, I really do feel that SFSF initiatives will affect it, because the only reason SFU is standing is because of the students, you know? The students make SFU, SFU. And if the students are against what SFU decides, then I don't think SFU would be able to, just stand against us. Because SFSS is here to represent the students, and a lot of times students don't understand the power that they hold. Because maybe it's just because students aren't aware of the power that they have, but in our tuition fees or in whatever we pay the school, we have the membership included. And the membership entitles the students to a right in what's going to happen to them, and they have a say. But a lot of times students they don't take advantage of it and they ignore it. So if every student stands up to SFU and they support the SFSS initiatives that are being taken to support the students, then for sure I believe that the tuition freeze would take effect. My platform is basically here to support the students. I am here for the students, and be it a personal matter or be it for any idea, I am always here for you. So if need be, you can always contact me on social media. My platform is most likely uploaded on the SFSS website. If not, then if you see one of my campaign posters anywhere, then it should be available through there.
Vote for Gerard Corr for VP Events and Student Affairs.
If you guys resonate with my ideas and you like what I'm talking about, or if you just want to know more about my campaign and what I believe in, then shoot me a DM. But please vote for me if my ideas resonate with you, and if you just want to work together to make SFU the best SFU possible. Because what I believe is no screens left behind, because hashtag stay at home. So yeah, vote for me, please.
Vote Jess Dela Cruz for your next Vice President of Events and Student Affairs on the voting link of February 16th to the 18th.